Hi.
Hi, welcome back. And we are here
We're
talking
back.
about,
The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue
yes, very good if you haven't read it.
by V.E. Schwab.
Yes. So we're going to talk a little bit about the book, but first, let's look at our two different editions. These are two special editions. Um,
All right, Jenna has a good theory,
mhm.
a good hot take that there are two hobbies in being a book girly, okay? Reading books and buying books. And we were trying very hard, or I was, to just be a reading book girl. So I started with a library copy of this book and I got about halfway through and then I had to order this special version. I'll show off later because it's gorgeous. It has fan art and all the things in it. And her
Yes.
version is also special edition.
I ordered this one, yes, and it doesn't have the fan art. It just has this beautiful silver edges and it's leather but I
Oh, it's
read it,
leather and it has the gold foiling. It's
the gold foil,
beautiful.
yes. I read this on Kindle Unlimited and then months later I'm like, I really like it. And I started looking for other books by V.E. Schwab, and so I saw this come out. I'm like, I have to have it. Book trophy.
Well, I feel like it's fair if you know for sure that you are going to reread the book and you're going to recommend it to friends, but with the caveat that you have to bring it back, investment. It's
Exactly.
like cost per wear, but cost per read.
Yes.
Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit. We're going to give you a synopsis and then tell you what we thought before we get into our spoilers. So you want to do the synopsis and tell them what the general book is about?
Yes. Okay. So I read it more recently, so hopefully I won't leave anything out. We meet our main character Addie LaRue, and it is what did I say? 17.
17 something.
Come on, literally just looked at it. Hold please. 1714.
Yeah, something like that. So in the
Yeah,
1700s,
1714. So sorry.
it's
Go
okay.
ahead.
Yeah, and so she's in this village and she's running the risk of becoming an old maid. So her parents are making her marry this guy in her village. Nothing wrong with him. He's a nice guy, but she just doesn't want to be
She's
married.
just really not interested
Right.
in having a domestic life,
Right.
and so and she's also heavily influenced by Estelle, which is
Hmm.
a neighbor, right?
She's a
She's
neighbor.
not a relation. She's just a neighbor.
She's kind of like the weird village lady that everyone has that
Hmm.
like, oh, is she a witch? Is she not? But
She's kind of the apothecary. She's kind of
yes.
like, does she maybe do spells? We don't know.
Mhm.
But
Yes.
Addie and Estelle have a great relationship from when she was a little girl up until the point when we meet her.
Mhm.
And the story really starts on, as Jenna started out explaining, on her proposed wedding night. And she has been under the advisement of Estelle that she can pray to the old gods, but never pray to the old gods that answer at night.
Mhm.
And she is full on in her wedding dress. Her parents are like, get down the aisle, girl. You're marrying this guy. And she's like, hold on, I gotta go check my lipstick. She doesn't say that. I forget what her excuse is, but she's gotta go do something. And she books it. She books it. She's like, runaway bride, full on. And because she is in such a state, she goes to make a sacrifice to the gods, and I think she like buries a trinket or something. It's not
That's right. She
not really all
buries
that.
things and
It's not really all that serious. She's not like doing any rituals, but she like buries a trinket to as an offering to the old gods. But she was not paying attention to the sun, and the sun went down.
and someone answered her. But it was one of those naughty ones that answered after dark and he wanted to make a deal, but not the kind of deal you should be making. So what was Addie's deal that
Well,
she made?
first of all, if anybody meets an old god that wants to make a deal, don't do it. In all the books that I've read where there's like some kind of old god or demon, don't make a deal because they're tricky. They trick
Very
you.
tricksy.
So she basically just wanted freedom. She wanted
Mhm.
freedom from expectations, freedom from society. Her parents wanting her to marry. She just wanted to be free. She wanted to live a free life
and see the world and
and see
what's
the
out
world.
there.
Well, because she's poor, and so she, her life up to this point has been very limited to just her village. And his part of the bargain was
that he would get her soul when she was tired of it, right?
yep,
Like when
she was tired of her freedom.
when she was tired of her freedom, he would get her soul, which is very reminiscent. I don't know if any of y'all have read Neil Gaiman's Sandman or seen the Netflix series, but there is a character in Sandman and also in the series who makes that kind of a deal. And years go by, he's wealthy, he's poor, he's persecuted, he suffers, he's top of the world. And every 100 years, the Sandman character meets with him at this pub in England to see what's been going on in his life and ask, do you still want to live or are you done? And even when he's bottom of the barrel, he's always like, I still like want to live. Even after he marries, has kids, they all die,
Mm-hmm.
for, sickness, plague, or natural causes, but then he's alone but he still wants to live. So it reminds me a lot of that.
Okay. I haven't seen that, but what you just described is spot on.
Yeah.
So, Addie thinks this is a great deal. She's like, fantastic. She quickly learns that she was tricked and that he snuck in some ways to make her completely free of societal expectations, etc. And that is that no one remembers her at all, and she cannot write anything down. She can't be photographed. She can't, paint her name. She can't, like if she were to be a child with a chalk on the sidewalk and she wrote her name, it would just fizzle and disappear.
She can't even say her name. She
Oh,
can't
that's
say
right.
Addie.
She can't even say her name. So she quickly, the first part of the book is a little bit bleak because, I mean, think about, you have no ID, no credit card. I mean, this is in the 1700s, but she has no money. She has nowhere to stay. No one recognizes her. She can't go home and be like, hey, mom, can I stay the night? So she's basically immediately homeless, broke. No one remembers her. She's having to learn how to steal.
And no one remembers her, even like if they meet her, like, you meet people in the course of your daily life. But the minute you walk out of eyesight, like you walk to the other room or you turn your back to do something and they turn back, it's like,
yeah.
you
I feel like I really understood that in the scene where also there's two timelines going. So it's jumping from her start in 1700 up to present day, which is 2014. So this is a 300-year story. But the timelines do jump. And I feel like I really understood the challenge of this when she was in that scene where she was went inside that boutique and she was trying on clothes, and I'm thinking, how's she going to pay for these clothes? What's going on? Well, she takes the clothes. The shop clerk is super kind, is like, let me know if you need anything or different sizes. She goes in, she puts on the new clothes, she comes out, and immediately she can see the shop clerk being confused. Like, I don't remember letting somebody in. And so, as somebody does that is working in a shop, she's like, oh, did everything fit okay? And Addie says, oh, no, nothing worked. I'm going to leave the ones that didn't work in the room. Thank you so much. And she just walks out with a new outfit because the shop clerk had no recollection of that whole interaction.
Right. Yeah.
Which is, I mean, she got good at it in the end. She wasn't good at it in the beginning.
Right. Yes.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that we'll talk about that more when we get into our spoilers, but then something happens in present day in New York when she meets someone who remembers her.
And this is not a spoiler because what we're going to talk about is literally on on the back of the book. So after 300 years of her, scraping by, finding places to live, trying to have a really great life, and she does for the most part, she walks into a bookshop, steals a book, and then reads it, and then the next day goes back in, and the guy that saw her steal it was like, fine, you can just, if you're gonna steal the most obscure book in the, it was like printed in German, some essay.
Yes.
It was just like this really obscure book. He's like, fine, if it's really that serious, you can just have it. Well, the next day or next week, she comes back in and she's like, hey, my friends got me this book for my birthday. And like, crazy as it is, it's the most obscure book ever, but I already have it. So like, can I exchange
Mhm.
it? And he's like, really? First of all, you stole that book. Second of all, you think that you could just exchange it? And she's floored
Yeah.
because after 300 years, somebody remembers her.
Yeah.
So what happens with that?
Yes. So that's all we can tell you about the story, but it's just a beautiful exploration of her life and um, what we are willing to sacrifice for the deepest desires of our hearts. And then how, what are our deepest desires? Like when she actually got what she wanted, but then she paid a price for it. And then in that exchange, what is so important? I don't think Addie, before going through that, I don't know that she would have considered being known, being seen, having a name,
Yeah.
being something that was so important to her. But then going through that experience and not being able to write her name, say her name, leave any kind of
Leave any
mark.
kind of mark.
So,
Yeah. And this is also not a spoiler, but this book is so well done. There, what did you call it the other day when we were talking about
oh, a historical
a
fantasy.
historical fantasy? And I'm like, yeah, that's brilliant. That's exactly what that is. Because there's so, I mean, this is a 300-year story. Um, so there's so many historical references and historical people that are brought up. The man that she makes the deal with comes and visits her every year and is like, you ready? You ready to come with me? You ready to give me your soul? And they have kind of their own interaction and their own relationship over these 300 years. Um, but like at one point, he takes her to see Beethoven play, and there's artist references. There's, anyways, not to go too far into it, but if you are somebody that likes historical fiction at all, and you are, this is just a little tiny hop, skip, and a jump to the left to get into a historical fantasy. So it's excellent.
So I think I gave it 5 stars.
5 stars. I
Five
think I
stars.
originally gave it 4, and then it's like one of those books that anytime I'm driving and I don't have any music on, I'm thinking about it. I'm like, oh, so that makes it 5 star, and I'm
Five
for
stars.
sure going to reread it.
Yeah, me too. So it's a 5 star read from both of us. And if you haven't read the book now, this is your cue to
Peace out. We're going to spoil
yes.
this thing.
We have some questions we're going to get into about different things that happen in the book and our takes on it and what we think. So if you haven't read it, you might want to read it first and then come back. If you have read it, then let's go for our deep dive.
And if you haven't read it and you do come back, please tell us which version you ended up buying, because I guarantee, check it out from the library. You're going to still buy it. Put it on your Christmas list.
Oh, Christmas
It's time.
is coming up. Yes. All right.
Okay, let's go. I cannot wait to spoil the heck out of this thing.
Well,
I'm excited.
Okay. So the first thing we're going to talk about is a two-pronged question. One is, why do we think Addie made the deal with Luke at the beginning of the book? And two, if we had the opportunity to live forever, would we? Yes or no, and why? So what do you think? First, let's talk about, why do we think Addie made that deal with Luke?
Well, I think she made the deal with Luke because I just think that she was first of all, I can't imagine living in 1714. Like, just, that sounds awful. And I can understand if you're being pushed into an arranged marriage and she doesn't want that. I understand why she thought making a deal was a good idea, but it's never okay. There's other demon books up here. Okay, don't make a deal. It's always a mistake. But so I think that she made a deal, but she didn't. She was in such a flustered state that she didn't think it through.
I think so too. I also think that she watched people in her village just, back in those days, I think things were very static. People probably didn't go more than a few miles from where they were born in their whole life.
Yeah.
with a few exceptions of maybe to market or whatever. But so I think she saw her parents, people around her, friends, just living the same lives their parents led, and just the same thing. And she kind of got a glimpse of what her life was going to be. I'm going to marry this guy. He's going to be nice. We're going to have babies. I'm going to work. Our kids will grow up. We're going to live and die like right here. And I'm not going to see what else is out there. So I think she had that wanderlust that some people, and I can relate to this a little, there is just a desire to see what's around the next corner.
Well, the biggest influences in her early childhood that we find out about is like the once a year um, trek into the
Yeah.
city that she's allowed to go on
Yeah,
with her
dad.
father. And that's when he buys her like charcoal and she
Yeah.
starts to become artistic. And then she gets too old and she's not allowed to go. And she's expected to make a home
Yeah,
and
and stay and help her mother around the house. And then also, you don't want to take back in those days, a girl who's getting close to being marriage age, like just out and about. It was a very constrained
yeah.
society. So I think she just wanted more. I think we can all relate to that, being at different points in our lives where we want more out of life.
Yeah.
We're ready. I remember.
Well, she certainly got more than she bargained for.
Oh, she did. She did. I mean, can you remember like when you were a teenager and you just couldn't wait to get your license and you were like chomping at the bit, then
Yeah.
chomping at the bit to go to college or to start your career and do that. And then once you get there, you realize I really should have enjoyed when I
Yeah.
was back there. And I think a little bit that's what's going on with Addie. She's wanting more, but she's just in a society where it's not a matter of wait and it'll come. It's like, no, there is none of that. So she's like desperate.
Yeah. I think that the question of would you want to live forever? No. And I don't even think that she wants to live forever. I mean, we're in the spoiler section. She's alive at the end of the book. It's been 300 years.
Mhm.
And she, I think, is ready, but she's not going to give in to the deal to
Yes,
Luke.
and to give him her soul, like,
Yeah.
no.
She's not going to do it. Um, the other thing about that whole concept is I think that her character was so unique about how she lived through all of these realizations of I made this deal, okay, I do get to live forever. At one point she like kind of dies. Remember when she like got the plague, but then she like I'm alive because she like literally popped up from underneath like other dead bodies and she's like, well, that was unpleasant. I got to find some clothes. And
I remember that.
but she's not a typical character where you would think, oh, she's going to be real depressed and then just want to be out of it, or she's going to like be a trickster. And I mean, she went all through it, and as the reader you kind of get to go through it with her. So if any expectation I had about how I would respond to this situation, it wasn't what she did was not what I think I would do. Does that make sense?
Same, especially like the times when she goes back to her village years later, and one when she sees her mother, like her father's deceased, but her
Mm-hmm.
mother's there, Estelle's gone. Her reaction, I mean, she seemed to have some grief, but and everyone reacts differently. But I think if I were confronted with that, I would have been so regretful, regardless of what amazing things I might have seen out in the world. I think the fact that I wasn't there, my dad died, my mom doesn't remember me, and now she's all alone in her old age.
Yeah.
I would have been I think I would be so consumed with guilt and regret that I was so selfish, which I think of it as selfish, but I don't know that it really was in Addie's world because they didn't remember her. It's not
Well,
like,
she does talk to Henry about that
yeah.
because he was like, well, how did you not
Mhm.
go crazy?
Mhm.
And she's like, oh, I have trust,
Mhm.
but you live as long as I have, like you come out of it. Which
I guess.
I mean,
Or
there
you
are
just,
not major chapters of her being in deep depression, which is
no.
great because that would have been, I mean, it was already kind of tough to read because her early years, like the
We're
first
hard.
100,
Mhm.
were really hard
Yeah.
and bleak and cold and homeless and hungry and all these things. So that was hard to get through
Yeah.
the beginning for
Yeah.
me anyways.
It was because it was so, I thought it was sad. So I'm with you. I wouldn't want to live forever. I mean, if I had like all my besties and my family living forever with me and we weren't going through plagues and all the other things, okay, maybe, yeah, if it's going to be one big party. But the way she did, no, I wouldn't want that.
It is cool though. So Henry is modern day, and he's like in his late mid 20s or 25, 20, whatever, somewhere
Something.
between 20 and 30. And when he gets to know her full story, he's like, wait, you were there when the camera was invented. You were there when the telephone was invented. You were there when, all of these major technological things happened. Like, what did you think when an airplane flew over you for the first time? And that, I thought that was really fun.
That was fun. I will.
So it would be cool to
That
see
would
the
be
next
fun.
300 years of technology.
It would be. But I'd rather see it as in like not live through it, but like see it and not have to live through it without my family and my friends.
True, yeah.
So you mentioned Henry, and maybe this isn't one of our other questions we're
Oh
going to get
yeah,
to,
I
but
forgot we had a list.
I feel like as I was thinking about it, preparing for us to come talk, Henry is kind of like the opposite of Addie. Like
Mm-hmm.
with Addie, people see her and she's completely forgettable. Like they might interact with her. She might even like she has relationships where she like sleeps with this guy, whatever. The next morning he wakes up and he's like, "Who's this girl
Like,
in my
oh, I
bed?"
must have drank too
Like,
much. Whoops.
yep. Whereas with Henry, it's different. It's not that everyone knows him, but everyone's just drawn to him and just fun. And he's the best and he's amazing. And Henry has grown weary of that. You can tell, like he's, and that's part of the deal he made with Luke, because we find out that the reason that Henry can remember
Remember her.
Addie is because he made his own deal with Luke. So it's like they
Yeah.
cancel each other out in a way.
So I thought the way that the author introduced the deal that Henry made was so good. So um we get snippets of Henry before we really know the whole story. Like Addie and Henry are hanging out. They've gone on a couple dates. She's just blown away by the fact that this person remembers me. Um, but we don't learn his story until I think Henry brings her to meet his friends,
Mhm.
and one of them goes out to like have a smoke break or something and comes back and is like, "Who are you?" And Henry's like, "Bro, what are you talking about? This is Addie. You just met her. We just went through all this." And Addie has to pull him aside and be like, "It's not their fault." And she has to explain to him, and she's scared because she thinks that he's going to think she's nuts, which it is nuts, um, or that she's lying, um, and that he'll abandon her. And so she's been desperately trying to keep this secret from him because she just wants to be around him because he remembers her and she gets to have, a relationship with somebody, friendship. Um, and she's like, so she tells him, and she's like, I know I sound crazy, like, and he just looks at her and he's like, I believe you because I made a deal too.
Oh, I
I
know.
think I threw the book in the air like when I read that. I'm like, oh my gosh. So his right after that, the it goes into describing him as a young boy, and he had some kind of heart defect that was fixed by the doctors, but it's this almost very lyrical, poetic
Mhm.
story about he had too big of a heart, and
Mhm.
the doctors fixed it, but he never felt like it was fixed, and he felt things too strongly. When people were happy with him, he felt it so strongly. When people were upset with him, he felt it so strongly that it was
Mhm.
overwhelming.
Yeah.
And even his friends and sister and family members, they had a term for it where they call it like a little storm. And he would take medication to help these little storms, and they called them little umbrellas to help him get through these like basically manic, depressive bouts. And so he got broken up with by a woman that he was dating and he wanted to marry.
Yeah.
Basically, he proposed and she rejected him and was like, I mean, you're fun, but I never really saw you as long term.
Yeah.
So he's in a very bad storm and is considering, he's standing on a roof or sitting on the edge of the roof, and he's considering
Plunging.
ending things. And Luke, our resident demon that answers at night, shows up and is like, hey man,
Wanna make a deal?
I can make this better for you. And he's asking him, like, well, what do you, Luke is asking Henry, well, what do you really want? What do you really want? And he's like, I just want to be loved. He just felt so desperate to be loved. Well, don't make deals, okay? How many times do I need to say, do not make deals? So he makes the deal. He says he doesn't believe in souls anyways. He's about to anyways, and so he makes the deal. He shakes his hand, and now everyone loves him.
Everyone. He's like Mr. Popular.
Like, he goes into a coffee shop and the barista's like, that's my number on your cup. And he like doesn't have to pay for stuff. And like when Addie and he have coffee at that coffee shop, somebody bumps into him and then they make eye contact with him and they're like, oh my gosh, no, I'm like so sorry. I'm so sorry. And he's like, yeah, it's fine. Like, it's just, he is too loved by everybody.
But let's address that, because that's not really love.
No.
It's like infatuation. It's like a crush. And I think Henry, it's so tragic because
he never knows if it's real.
that's, yes, because when you hear him say, I just wanted to be loved, I really think what he meant was loved and accepted as I am, flaws and all, storms and all, and just love me for me, accept me for me, just be with me as my friend or my brother or whoever, thick or thin, which isn't that what we all want?
Of
and
course.
Then Luke twisted it and made it something.
He made it kind of a curse.
But he also put a time limit on Henry, because Henry,
oh yeah.
Wait,
what was it?
It was like, was it a year or 2 years? It was something, and it was getting close to the end where.
Oh, I remember he said, because when Addie and he come clean about it, Henry tells her it's for a lifetime. Which for Addie, who's gonna live forever, it's like, all right, I got like 60 years more with you because he was in 20, 60 days. She's like doing the math. She's like, all right, I can work with that. But it wasn't. It was 1 year.
Yeah, 1 year. I mean, can you imagine? And then of course they're desperate to spend as much time together as they can. And I think for Henry, just like for Addie, she wants to be with Henry because he remembers her, and so she's able to have this progressive, growing relationship, as opposed to all these meet cutes and one night stands that just keep happening with the same people. There's a continuation. But whereas for Henry, he knows that because they both made deals, Addie loves him.
It's real
for him. It's not because of, the curse or whatever he calls it. But then
here's a good question.
Okay.
We talked about, would you want to live forever? If you had to choose between Henry's curse and Addie's curse, if you had to.
If I had to.
Don't make deals, but if you had to.
So live forever, but no one knows you and you don't have any meaningful relationships, or
live for 1 year where everything is easy for you because everyone loves you. I mean, just think about it. You never would have nasty interactions with like random people. No road rage.
Well, as long as they see you, right? Because they have to see.
Well, that's true. Yeah.
I think I might prefer Henry's, because there's just something about. I think that's why I think Addie's so brave, because even when she was with people, she was alone.
Yeah.
Because no one knew her, not really know her.
Yeah.
And that's like the difference between friends and acquaintances or beer buddies that, they don't do life with you. Addie had no one. She literally had no one for 300 years. And Luke does not count because, one, he's not a someone. He's a demon.
He counts. He counts.
We'll talk about.
I think he counts. They have like full on relations.
That's true, but
like full on
and they did
for
have like a
years.
relationship that they
Yeah.
were progressively getting to know each
I
other,
mean,
but
it's not love. It's not,
it's toxic.
yeah, but Luke is the only constant in her life, and that plays into this
Yeah.
story.
Yeah. So yes, to answer your question, I would choose Henry's curse over Addie's
I think I would too.
because you can handle just about anything for a year, even
Yeah.
if it's bad.
Although Addie gets to read every book.
Oh, but who is she going to talk to?
True.
I mean, she might go talk to some rando in a coffee shop, but that's not the same as talking with friends because she doesn't know. She might sit down and start up a conversation with someone. Like, how's she going to know if they even like the book, have read the book? Like,
Yeah.
I mean, it's not the same as having
Maybe
friends.
she's still alive and there's like online Zoom book clubs that she can just be a voyeur and pop in now. I'm
Yes,
just kidding. No,
that's
that would be
true, but
terrible.
that would still be like she couldn't do like this
No.
because you'd walk out of the room and you'd come back and you wouldn't remember who Addie is.
Oh man.
So,
Okay. Let me see what other questions we had here. Okay. When she goes through the absolute worst, Addie never gives in and lets Luke have her soul. What do you think kept her going throughout all those years? She's
I was thinking the same thing. I was like, she's just stubborn.
stubborn.
Like,
She's like, you're not winning. Not today.
she's like determined. I mean, that's a good character trait, right?
Okay, follow up. Addie and Luke have an interesting dynamic, which we just alluded to. When did Addie stop hating him? Did they ever both truly care for each other, or was it a matter of convenience slash power?
I think she started caring for him after there was a period of time when he got mad at her and he didn't come. And she realized, like, how much, like you said, that she relied on that. He was a constant.
Yeah, it's like their anniversary, even though it was toxic. She knew he was
Mm,
coming, and then he didn't.
I don't think it was
Why did he
love.
get mad at her? Just because she wouldn't give up? She wouldn't give him his soul?
Well, there was something else. I don't remember what it was. She said some things. They kind of had a little tiff. And so, I don't think it was love. I think at different points in time, they each maybe thought it was love. But for him, I think it was control. She was he had a unique relationship with her that he didn't have, like with Henry or even any of the others, because you have to assume if there's two of them that have made deals with him, there's going to be others out there.
Yeah.
But it seemed like his interactions and his relationship with her was different. So I think he enjoyed it. I think it probably, I mean, he's eternal. So talk about boring. So she was a little change of scenery.
Okay, again, because I've read other books about with demon elements in it, I think it was possession.
That could
I think it's
be.
really possession because he made the deal
Mhm.
and I think that he truly thought like, 50 years of this and she'll be mine.
Yeah.
I'll own it. I'll possess the soul of
Yeah.
Addie LaRue. And the longer and longer and longer she went, and he tried different tactics to
He
kind of wear
did.
her down and, treating her well and almost being, not almost, being her lover,
Mhm.
was one tactic. And
Yeah.
I think that that served them both in certain ways, but it was also really just a tactic to get her to give up. And so I think that his main motivation was um, possession. And I think that the love elements
Mhm.
is because he became a form that she had kind of always envisioned of like her ideal
That's
man.
true.
So like when there's parts where he's there and he comes up behind her, puts
Mhm.
his arms around her and she describes it like, "Oh, we do fit together. Like we physically fit in a very very comfortable way."
Mhm.
So, I don't know. I mean, it's weird.
But what I agree. I think that you have a good point. And what about for Addie? What is her? Is it love for Addie, or does she just think it's love because she's so desperate for love after 300 years?
I don't know because the very very end, how do I describe it? She kind of almost makes like another oh, she does. She makes another deal to let Henry go on.
Mm-hmm.
So Addie makes a deal with Luke when Henry's year is supposed to be up, and she's like, basically, let Henry out of his deal with you so that Henry can live. And obviously he's come a full year from when he was in this very manic depressive state to wanting to live and wanting to endure and wanting to have a life. And so she says, Luke, I'll be with you until you don't want me anymore if you let Henry go on. And I did not understand that. Like when I was first reading that, I'm like, what is she doing? This is not what Henry. Anyways, well, she's learned after 300 years how to make a deal. Still not recommended for us, but she learned. And so her whole strategy was, yeah, I'll be with you until you don't want me anymore. But I bet she's going to wear him out.
I think so.
She is going to wear him out, and he is going to be so sick of her that he's going to say, just leave me alone. And so that she will, decide when her time is up, but he won't keep her soul.
Yes. So I agree. I do think that there have been times though that throughout those years that she thought it was love.
Yeah.
Because let's be honest, we're girls. How many times have we not thought we were in love with someone? And I'm not talking like when we're like teeny boppers, like even as grown women. I mean, we have relationships that we think this is it, this is the one, I'm in love. And then the more we think about it, or as time passes, we realize, no, I needed something that person gave me at that time. And I think that's what it was with Luke.
Well, and I think even more surface level, I do agree. I think that there were times where she really thought, oh, is this real? But there were also times where she was just like, this is just sex. And like, girls got needs. And she literally says that in the book.
She does.
I mean, that's a quote. So I think that there's also just like her going through these phases of like that too. I mean, that's really surface, but it's in the book.
Yeah, no. And I do think there is something about wanting to be with someone who actually knows her.
Yeah.
Because they only see each other, what is it, it's every year.
Yeah.
Right? But most of her life, except for, I mean, they did go through that phase where they were hanging out and he took her to New Orleans and all that. But except for that, they would see each other that once a year. And that was the one time she got to have a continuing conversation with someone.
Well, even think about like, okay, if you're a ghost, you might meet somebody, shake their hand, but she probably went decades without hugging somebody or holding hands or even being arm in arm or whatever. Like just because you don't do that with strangers.
Right. Well, I mean, she did have one night stands, but still that's different from like being with someone that you're comfortable with, even whether it's a friend or whatever, to just hang out. And with Luke, she had a semblance of that. So, right?
Yeah.
Is there another question?
Yes. Okay. Do you think Henry and Addie were truly in love, or were they bonded by their circumstances?
I honestly don't know. I went back and forth with that. Even while I was reading the book, there were times I'm like, oh, it's really love. Then at other times I was like, I really felt he was. For her, I wasn't sure. There were times when I thought she really was. Other times I thought she's just so desperate to be known and to have like a real companionship with someone who knows her, to where you can continue the conversation you started yesterday, something she had not been able to do for 300 years. So I don't know. I go back and forth. What do you think?
I think she was.
Okay.
And this is my like one solid, this is my evidence, is that she sacrificed herself to give him back his life.
That's true.
Knowing that she would never see him again.
Well, unless she works really fast and gets Luke to get sick of her and be like, woman, get thee gone.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's kind of one of those questions of like, that, I mean, that's the ultimate sacrifice. I don't think that you would be willing to throw your life away for someone that you didn't love.
I agree. That's true. That's true.
But they also, I mean, they also kind of dated in like a normal way. I
they
mean,
did.
before they revealed to each other their mutual curses, deals, they were dating.
That's true.
They went to
That's true.
the arcade, they went to like they were just going on dates and getting to know each other, and even their physical relationship progressed in a very natural, normal, like if you just pulled those pages out of the book, that it would just be a delightful little romance novel. So I do think that they both had that 1 year, that sliver in both of their lives that they were just being normal with each other.
Yeah.
So I do think that they fell in love. I don't know.
Yeah. V.E. Schwab has said that this is a standalone book, that the Addie's story, this is what it is. She's happy with it. There isn't going to be a sequel. But if there were a sequel, Aubriana,
I want to read her taking Luke down.
maybe we should write that. But yeah, you want to see her take Luke down. And do you want it to be like years, because this happens in 2014, so for her to never see Henry again, it would have to be like 100 years in the future or something.
Yeah.
Or do we want it to where maybe years have passed but Henry's still alive and they reconnect? Or
I mean, I would think that Addie's pretty savvy and Luke is not paying attention all the time because he's got other deals to wrap up. There's many, okay? There's many. So I don't think he's there all the time. In fact, Luke didn't know about Henry for a long time. So I think that our little sneaky deaky Addie LaRue gets to pop back into Henry's life periodically. And
do you think that also there's like a trace of arrogance with Luke because he's this eternal being, he's won all these souls, he'll get Addie in the end, like he's like an overconfidence that might do him in
that's how I read it. I mean, that's how I pictured him, was just being like, he thinks he's the bomb, gonna outsmart our little Addie, but she's smart. She's smart. She's gonna figure it out.
She is. So
I think that we have to touch on the art elements in this book and about the fact that she's not able to leave her mark, but does she indeed?
Yeah.
So you talk about that.
Oh, well, I don't have too much to say except that I thought that in the absence of having her real name, in the absence of being able to write or draw anything that was going to stand the test of time, even like she would break things and then they'd be fixed.
Right.
Like she was not leaving any kind of mark.
No marks.
The fact that she was able to influence these artists who did paintings and drawings, the musicians, it's a more lasting mark than if she'd etched her name and something.
I thought that was so fun. I love art. I'm not an artist, but I love going to art museums. I love art, and I love that there's so much mystery around art. There's so many pieces that in real life, like one of my favorite books is The Marriage Portrait, and that's a true historical fiction about a marriage portrait that has tons of mystery behind it, and there's very few facts known. And within this book, there's different parts, like part 1, part 2, I think there's 4 parts. In the beginning, there's an art piece that's described. In this one, it actually shows the pictures of the art pieces, and their net value. Some of them are like thousands, hundreds of thousands of dollars. But they all have a similar element where there's 7 stars, and she has 7 freckles on her face, which is why this version of the book has these 7 connecting stars. So there's evidence of her. She can't create it, but she can influence these amazing artists.
She's like a muse.
She is a muse.
She's a muse.
So
then Henry writes his book.
Yes.
And he writes it with her name.
Yeah.
Which that makes me wonder, because her name is now out there making a mark in spite of Luke's curse.
Yeah.
So
do you remember the very, very ending scene?
Yes.
So she's with Luke somewhere. I don't remember
It was
where.
in London.
Was it in London?
Yes.
And she's standing outside of a bookstore, and inside the bookstore, there's, The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue on the bookshelves. It's sold out. People are like loving it. And she's watching people walk out with it. And Luke comes up to her behind her. And I think this is one where she's like, well, we could do physically fit together. Like, and he's like, sneaky. I see what you did there. I mean, that's not literally what he says, but he's kind of just like, all right, well, you worked your way around it, but still nobody's going to know it's you. And that's when in her inner monologue, you're hearing her be like, yeah, well, you think you know the deal you made, but you don't. I'm going to get out of this thing.
And then the dedication that Henry wrote inside his Invisible Life of Addie LaRue book was, I remember you.
Yeah.
Right? Which I love that.
Well, and they discovered, as they were like cute dating, they go to an art installation, an art museum, and she tries, one of the rooms is like, make your mark, like paint on the wall. And she does, and Henry sees it disappear. And Henry writes his name or paints something, and he says, like, grab my hand. So he's got the paintbrush, and she grabs his hand like this and writes Addie, and it stays. And so that's when they go home, he's like pulling out notebooks, and he's like, tell me your entire life. Like, tell me all your stories. Tell me who you met. Tell me about Luke. And so, that's how he wrote the book, because she's dictating it to him, but because he's able to make a mark. So cute. So
I know.
sweet.
This book is so good, y'all.
It's so good.
But I'm assuming if you're still listening to us, you've read the book. So
I would hope so. Yeah. Anyways.
So I guess that's all we have for Addie LaRue. 5 stars.
5 stars
from both of us. We just love it. So
I do think that we could sit here and talk for an hour more about it, but we won't. But there's so much. I also, one more little thing. I just loved the actual characters of the historical characters. Like this one, this is just a page that I marked that Addie is asking Luke, what was your strangest deal you've ever done? Luke tipped his head back and considers. Joan of Arc, he says, a soul for a blessed sword so that she could not be struck down. Addie frowns, but she was. Ah, but not in battle. Luke's smile goes sly. Semantics may seem small, Adeline, but the power of the deal is in the wording. She asked for protection of a god while it was in her hands. She did not ask for the ability to keep hold of it.
And Addie, smart little girl.
She's learning.
She learned from the master. So
anyways, yeah, I think that this is an incredibly creative story. I think it's incredibly romantic. I think it's one that will make you think about what you would do if you were in the situation. And it's a great book club book because there is just so much to discuss.
Yeah, I agree.
This is a longer one. Thanks for sticking with us.
Thank you. Bye.